Hey, Lois. In this episode of Starfield with Normal People, Michael and Duane are going to talk about how Bethesda games have spoiled them. They're such Todd Howard simps. That's a word the kids are using these days. Also, bussin', riz, no cap, slay, sus, goat, eight, lit, flex, bop, mid, midfield. Anyway, Michael and Duane made this intro with Fish.audio. Fish Audio is ranked as the top 2 most realistic voice generators in 13 languages. It's fast and realistic, and one of the cheapest on the market, but not as cheap as Michael and Duane. So yeah, check out Fish Audio and play around with it. The link is in the show notes. Now they're going to talk about Fallout in space or whatever it is.
Hello everyone, it is a brand new episode of Starfield with Normal People. My name is Duane and I'm here with Michael. Michael, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to talk about Starfield, and I'd be even more excited to hear some news about Starfield.
There is huge news, Michael, according to a few YouTube videos, right?
That's true, yes.
There was a massive drop from official Bethesda Starfield X account.
That's right. It was a giant block of text that said, "We are working on things," and that's it. And this tweet has spawned 20-minute videos across the board. If you go to YouTube,
it's about to spawn a 1-hour podcast.
That's right. It sure is. Yeah, I wanted to start out the podcast by saying we are your number one source for toxic positivity.
Right.
Which is the funniest term.
Stand aside, no sodium Starfield subreddit.
Yeah.
We're here.
That's right. That is right. But yeah, I think, you and I got into just, what we were going to talk about. And I just find it so hilarious when a very short tweet gets turned into these YouTube videos that essentially don't say much.
And I actually said to you, I was like, what are we even going to talk about? From the beginning, when we started this, we had no news. We just had pure speculation. And we were approaching it from the standpoint of playing the game in a manner that could go on for years. And we're like, we could talk about this game endlessly, regardless of whether or not there is, exciting news coming down the pike every time.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, as soon as we release this podcast, they'll probably do that big update that they've got their quote unquote heads down working on right now.
Yeah, probably.
So in a way, we are responsible for when the release happens. So
yeah, we are willing it into existence.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the exact tweet was, and actually we joke about it, but I do think that this is very important. The exact tweet was, "We know you're eager for an update, and we truly appreciate your passion for Starfield. The team has been hard at work, and while we're not ready to share specific details just yet, we have a lot of exciting things planned for the game this year that we can't wait to talk about when the time is right."
Mm-hmm.
It is a big deal because we hadn't heard anything for quite some time. And a lot of people erroneously were saying, "Oh no, maybe they're done with it." No, not by a mile.
Yeah, that's right. And they've been pretty forthcoming with information up until this last spell. So that's, I think, why people are a little bit surprised that there's been this space of silence, essentially. And so I could see it's a little worrying for some of the Starfield faithful. Personally, I have more faith in Bethesda. It's such a huge title, and I don't think they're just going to abandon it. I know they're not.
No. We've seen how they handled Fallout 76.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of came out less than favorably among fans, and they worked so hard to add to it and improve it and give the fans what they want.
I had lost faith in that one. I thought that one was completely dead, and they really surprised me with how they fixed it.
They take pride in their work, and you can trust that they're going to make sure that they deliver like what they promise that they're going to deliver. But Starfield has had this ebb and flow with how they deliver content. We saw last year, before they released the paid expansion of Shattered Space, they released the Rev 8 for free. And
Hmm.
afterwards, like everyone was so excited about the Rev 8, and it was very much a goodwill moment for Starfield, because a lot of people that had sort of hated on the game were impressed, and rightfully so, with how they added this vehicle, which some people thought couldn't be done.
Hmm.
But then afterwards, after Shattered Space, Todd Howard said that, well, maybe if we released the Rev 8 at the same time as, as Shattered Space, that maybe the reception would have been a bit more favorable. So it is one of those things where they are kind of constantly deciding, like, okay, this is how people reacted towards these things. Maybe next time, instead of drip feeding a lot of small bits of content, which
Hmm.
I think a lot of us fans would like, they want to drop everything in one big update.
Yeah, so you're kind of saying the Rev 8 got a little bit lost in the pre-excitement of the big DLC of Shattered Space. So Bethesda potentially learned their lesson, and now there's a bigger gap between significant drops in terms of new stuff for the game.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, the Rev 8 was received very favorably. People thought it was
Hmm.
really cool, but then they sort of said that Shattered Space didn't have enough. Like, some people were saying, oh, Shattered Space didn't have enough new things. And so Todd is looking at this, the team is looking at this and going, oh, well, maybe if we, release all of our good ideas in one big content drop, then people look at it as a big thing. And I don't think they're wrong.
Yeah.
I come from a different school of thought. There's been a few games where I've played some early access games. So The Long Dark and Subnautica were both games that I joined in early access. So the game's not
Hmm.
done. And what I love about that is you're getting drip fed a lot of new content, like,
Right.
all the time. You're getting like a new update every month. Yeah, it's because it's not done yet, and the game is in active development, but I guess different gamers want different things. I like that kind of thing. I like the drip feed of content,
Yeah.
especially on a game that you just like playing like every week.
Yeah, we had Eric on one of our earlier podcasts as a guest. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. And I remember he was talking about the pre-release for Baldur's Gate,
That's right.
and it sort of long-term ruined, not to be negative, but it ruined the game a little bit for him, because he played that first act dozens and dozens of times.
Yeah.
So he's like at the point where he can't finish Act 3 because he kind of got bored with it and stopped. So
Yep.
my point is, you just kind
Understandable.
of have to be a little careful when you do decide to play a game before it's finished,
Yep.
even though
Yep.
it's tempting. I did the same thing, actually. I bought the game on his recommendation, and it was in pre-release. I played it a couple times through, didn't really like it at that point, and then decided to give it a second chance after it had been fully released. I'm glad I waited. But so
Right.
Subnautica for you, though, I mean, that was fine. I mean, you still had to start over once the game came out, right?
Yeah, you do. And I think
Hmm.
that it works better. I think it works better for survival games, because what's funny, and I know we're getting away from Starfield a little bit here, but I promise we're going to get back. What's funny about a game like The Long Dark is The Long Dark had very good survival elements. And then when they did the actual story, they started releasing it in episodes. It wasn't that good. Like, most
Oh,
people just preferred just the gameplay, just
right.
straight survival, and didn't even enjoy the story. I've never even gone back to finish the story, but I have gone back to do the survival elements.
That's so
Um,
funny. It's the
yeah,
game itself, the concept of the game has so much merit that adding the story actually took away from it. I
it
feel that way
did.
about some big sandbox games sometimes. Starfield hasn't really had that problem for me, but Grand Theft
Yeah,
Auto often has. I'll just get in there, and if the game is so fun as a sandbox, I
right.
could care less. I've never played any of the GTA stories all the way through, and probably not even maybe 50% through, and that's it.
I've thought many times about games like especially RPGs similar to Baldur's Gate where it's D&D style
Mm,
is why can't we have a game that is less of a big RPG story? Like I almost don't want that overarching story. Give me
hmm
this land over here and this little mini quest and this mini quest. I feel like a lot of
right.
RPGs would be better served if there wasn't one big world ending story. Just
hmm
let me travel the lands and discover little stories along the way. I don't know. I would love to know if anyone is listening and knows of a game where they did that instead of one big story, just several smaller stories.
I wonder if Sean Murray's new procedurally generated game, what is it, Eat, Pray, Love, something like
Yeah.
that.
Eat, pray. Yeah.
I wonder if that will be more like that because No Man's Sky doesn't really have that hardcore storyline, right? It has a
Well,
story.
it does. It does, but it's all so
Okay.
there's no voice acting. It's all through sort of text,
hmm
which is kind of the old school way of doing games. But yes, it's like it is very light on story. Like to compare it to Starfield, where Starfield is definitely big production. There's a story, there's voice acting. Like No Man's Sky has a story, but it's more of a sandbox. No, if Light No Fire is like that, I'll love it.
I was thinking about staging, which is the art of placing, camera or placing actors in front of the camera and how they move across the screen. There's a whole staging that happens within Starfield when you enter into like dialogue with characters. And one scene just happened to me in the Shattered Space DLC was you're looking for, I think, Varric. I don't know if you remember the Varric storyline, and I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. He's the son of the one of the faction leaders.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a scene where you're talking to an NPC that goes along with you to help him find it, and Varric like appears behind him before the
Uh-huh.
NPC realize. And
I
I don't
saw
know if
that
it
too.
was
Oh
on
my! I
purpose.
remember. Yes,
You
that
remember
happened to
that?
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, he's standing right behind you.
that's
And then
so
it's funny because like
funny. Oh
once
man,
you once you start that dialogue, it's probably a bug. Like he shouldn't appear. He appears too soon, basically, because you start the
that's what I
dialogue
thought
and
too.
then he gets the drop on you with the gun. But
Oh
anyways,
man,
minor
that
spoiler for those who haven't played that storyline.
well, it's so funny because, well, fortunately, like if you don't know what we're talking about, then you won't know until you see it. I don't think so, but
Yeah.
it's I started laughing because I remember that happening. And I played that all the way back at when it released, like September, August, or whenever it was, and
Yeah.
yeah, I was laughing because I was like, I don't think he's supposed to be standing there already, but yeah, that happened to me too. That's funny.
hmm
Oh man.
Well, speaking of people dropping in unexpectedly, our friend Davitt Doombringer will be taking over the sack, Michael. Super excited about
Yeah.
this, right?
Yep. SAC standing for Starfield Adventure Club, if anyone is new.
Yes, yes, yes. And of course, we want to thank Cherry Bomb for her 10 years of service. Amazing.
Yeah.
We have a special patch for her that she will don for her service. So thank you, Cherry Bomb. But seriously, she's been awesome. And Davitt offered to kind of step in and pick up the reins, as it were. And
Yeah. Well, we've got some exciting things planned for the Starfield Adventure Club. And for anyone listening that is brand new, you should see a link in our description for our Discord channel. Definitely join. We've got some amazing people there. We're talking about all games, but also many of them, most of them are Starfield fans. So we have the Starfield Adventure Club, which originally started as us choosing a planet every week. And now what we're transitioning to is we're doing a new system every month. Now, David Doombringer creates an in-universe magazine called The Odyssey. So
Hmm.
it's very cool. David's been putting together this fake magazine that sort of blends the world of Starfield with our own community. And it's been a
Right.
very cool thing to see. And it just was a natural thing. David offered to receive the torch, and that's what we're
Hmm.
doing now. So you can go see what system we're exploring this month, and please submit funny clips or with just cool clips or pictures or whatever you want to do. And I would actually, if we get enough clips, I'm going to turn it into a video.
Yeah, you were saying that you were going to take some select clips and create a video out of it, which I think is very cool. And it's honestly my number one reason to try to go through Shattered Space quicker is because I don't want to leave yet. Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
go leave the story and go, because I know I'll get distracted and go do like one of the Adventure Club locations. So I'm going to finish Shat Spa and then I'm going to start joining in on these destinations.
Yep. That's how I felt when I first played Shattered Space as well. It just, the
Mhm.
story lent itself to where it's like, once you're there, you got to stay there until the end of the story.
Right. Well, Michael, I don't know if I should even really say this, but here it goes. But I reached out to one of the, let's say, premier heads of departments over at Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a person that I was interested in interviewing. I said, "Hey, we're having our 50th podcast of Starfield with Normal People. Would you be interested in coming on?" And this person actually responded very enthusiastically
Yeah.
and said, "Yeah, I'd love to. However, this kind of thing has to be cleared through our PR department." And I thought, okay, well, that's either a nice way to say no or it really does have to. So I actually reached out to their PR person over at Bethesda, and they gave me an interesting response. They kind of said, not right now, but
Yep.
come back later after we are done with what we're working on right now. He said, everybody here at Bethesda has their heads down with this, whatever it is they're working on.
Yep.
Hopefully, the next Starfield update. Reach out afterward, and we'll go from there. I mean, I'm hopeful that, and I don't want to say who it is in case it doesn't happen, but I think you'll be happy. It's
Yeah.
not Todd, but I feel
No, it's
like if
not
we
Todd.
if we interview this person, then why not ask for Todd next time? Like, see if the process
Oh,
can continue.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
anyway, thought that was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Without saying too much, because we want to see if it comes to fruition first. Yeah, it is exciting, and honestly, I know that you received this response before we even heard
Hmm.
about that tweet,
Yeah, this was weeks ago.
right? The tweet that said, we're working on the
Hmm.
big thing. Yeah, we actually got this response saying that everyone is heads down working on the next thing. So it
Hmm.
was cool. It was very cool to get that response, and we promise we're gonna stay on top of this until we interview this person.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I bet that person at Bethesda has a favorite creation. Michael, you had a creation that you wanted to give a shout out to.
Yeah, I thought that this was interesting, and I do want to actually specify that I don't think that this particular mod is in the
Oh,
creation
okay.
kit or
Right.
creation club. So apologies for the purists, but the Rizzler in our Discord posted about a Nexus
Hmm.
mod that lets you transfer a spaceship that you have created from one save to another. So this is a pretty big deal because,
That's fantastic.
yeah, they're pretty much
Hmm.
locked. Oh, they are. They are locked to your save. Sure. We've talked about the philosophy of letting go in the past, and if you're gonna get out of a save, but here's the thing, I do understand that sometimes your game corrupts. There are things beyond your
Hmm.
control, right? So if something is beyond your control and you've got to create a new save, this lets you basically export a file that is that spaceship.
That's really cool.
And then you create a new save. Yeah, you import that spaceship into your new save file. So, hey, I mean, if you've put a lot of work into that spaceship, it's a nice way to hold on to it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is great for people that are really into the spaceship building element because you could spend hours and hours in there creating something that you really love. And if you do have that save if you get it corrupted, or if you go through the Unity, whatever happens, start a new character, and you want that ship again, do you really want to sit through the editor for another 3 hours creating that same ship? Well, this is the mod for you if you don't.
Yeah. It is called Transfer Spaceships Across Universes SFSE. And that is created by Laran Kiar.
Okay. Well, thank you, Larry.
Well, Duane, are you ready to talk about our main topic?
Yes. And because great minds think alike, we literally had the same idea.
We did.
At pretty much the same time. It was wild.
Yeah.
We might be long lost brothers. I don't know.
We might be.
Twins.
You know, not with that height.
No.
We are not twins.
Well, it's like the Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
There you go. See, again.
Yeah.
It happened again.
Oh, man, scary. As part of our main topic, we both, yes, scarily had the same thought that playing other games recently have had us looking at how Bethesda games have spoiled us.
You said to me, you're like, I was playing, and you listed a couple of games, and I knew right away that you were going to go into that topic. And I said, I experienced the same thing because in this kind of lull that we have between content releases for Starfield, a lot of us have been playing other games, and there've been a ton of new releases out there that are spectacular. Avowed, The Great Circle. There's a lot to play right now. I've played a bunch of different games, and then I went and played Starfield.
Yep.
And this game it just feels so much more was put into it. I'll give you an example. I've been playing The Great Circle, Indiana Jones and The Great Circle. Which
some people might say is published by Bethesda, but it is not developed.
Yeah,
by
it's not
Bethesda.
developed by them, and it's completely different game. It's a action kind of adventure, first person treasure finding game. It feels very 2-dimensional. It's fun, and it's a really cool game, and I like exploring. It feels kind of like that first time I was playing Tomb Raider, but in the Indiana Jones universe. You know, us kind of Gen Xers or millennials who grew up with the Indiana Jones, seeing one of them in the theater. This is the video game we have been waiting for so long. I mean, it does everything right in terms of like the tone and the textures, the feel, the music, the voice acting. It's all really, really good, and the graphics are amazing. However, it's not. It's kind of. I always feel like it's this paper facade, and if I were just to kind of reach my hand over, I would easily tear through the facade, and behind it is nothing.
Right.
And
that's interesting. Yeah.
Starfield, I've never really had that feeling. For today, I was playing one of the quest lines on Shattered Space. Pretty much every moment, I felt like there were 10 choices.
Yeah.
With The Great Circle, I feel like there's choices, there's false choices. Like there's little side treasure things that you can find. There's all these little, so it has an illusion of a sandbox, but it's not a true sandbox like Starfield is. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a similar kind of experience maybe with Avowed or with a different game that you're playing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to say that I don't think every game should be like a Bethesda game.
Yes.
And I don't want that. But the problem is I do feel spoiled because what happens is, like, well, with the Great Circle, to add to that, it does feel like it's, most games are like this. It's point A to point B,
It's linear.
while
Yeah.
yeah, they're trying to make you feel like it's this big world, and they do a great job.
Hmm.
But okay, so with Avowed, number one, Avowed is great, and I was really enjoying it, but then some things start to happen where the world is beautiful. Like, I'll find these like really cool looking areas. And then after a while, I start to, like, my brain starts to pick up on the fact that, oh, those enemies over there, they sit there. They stand there and wait for you to come over, and then there's a little fight.
Mm.
It starts to feel much like a game board. Like they're just game pieces that are set, and that's where they are. Maybe some of the enemies sort of patrol a small area, but it starts to feel less alive.
You have to go engage with that game board,
Yeah.
right? Like if
Y-
you're next to it, you don't necessarily have to go over there and start that checkers game. They're just standing around waiting for
Yeah,
you to come over and start battling, right?
they are. And in fact, they sort of have a way to deal with that where I saw some enemies dancing in place.
Mm.
And then they even have your companion character make a joke about it. Like, oh, that creature over there seems to be dancing or something. At first it was like, haha, that's funny. It's a little funny moment. But then where it starts to break down is I was up really high somewhere looking down, and I saw some enemies doing the exact same thing
Mm.
in an area,
Hmm.
and it just never changes unless I go down there and then we fight.
Isn't that every video game ever, though, kind of in a way? I mean, to be fair. And it's just how,
Yeah, and and that's the thing, is I know I'm being very unfair to this game, but I know that in a Bethesda game, if I am to talk about Starfield, where you can see very far, you can see enemies very far away, you're going to see an alien creature attacking another alien creature, or a person.
mhm.
Like, the world is much more living. Characters are reacting to each other. If you don't influence anything, like, that's what's crazy. In a Bethesda game, you can walk around. Like, if you were to make yourself invisible, the characters will still interact with each other.
Mhm.
And in Skyrim, foxes are gonna try and attack. Wolves are gonna try and attack deer, and there's hunters hunting deer. There's people, soldiers escorting,
Mhm.
prisoners. There's a whole world that is living.
Yeah, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably the very best at this,
Yeah.
right? It makes you feel like this is a living, breathing world because things happen, and those things that happen and interact with each other keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
If I were to stand around, and the same thing in the Great Circle, the Nazis are there and they kind of patrol a little bit and they do the same route. They could do that indefinitely.
Yeah.
You feel that as a player. Like, they don't go to bed, they don't change shifts as far as I'm aware, and they never stray
Yeah.
beyond their little path. Like, they're confined to a little bubble. It works for the game, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well,
not like kind of when you land and you find a starborn ship. Like, sometimes you'll just come across a starborn ship and no one's around. It's because the crew had already like got down and started walking away,
yeah. Yeah.
and you'll find them. Maybe they come back. I don't know. It's interesting. It definitely feels more alive and more lived in.
Yeah, and definitely, sure. I know that Bethesda games also have their tricks to make things seem more alive, but
Hmm.
yeah, a ship will land, someone will go to a nearby POI, and if you go talk to them, they tell you, I'm looking for supplies. It's these little things that make the world feel very alive. It's sad to say it, but the whole time I'm playing Avowed, and yes, I've praised it a lot. And there is much to praise about it. But I'm not joking when I say that almost the entire time I was playing Avowed, I was thinking, I need to finish this game so that I can create a new character in Skyrim, which is over 10 years old.
Right.
It's an old game. I have to say, like, another example, I need to shout out our friend Cherry Bomb RN, because in the Discord, she had mentioned that she was talking to a friend about Avowed and how the companions, sometimes like in conversations, they'll disagree with you, but it amounts to no change whatsoever.
Mm.
Where they'll just say, "Oh, I don't know about that decision," and then they're right back to, whatever. Whereas if you accidentally throw a grenade or something in Starfield, if you kill a civilian in front of Sarah or Sam or any one of those
Yeah.
Constellation members,
There are dire
they
consequences.
will leave.
Hmm.
Yeah, they will tell you how disgusted they are by your behavior, and they'll leave. And sure, it's a game, there's a cooldown period, you can convince them to come back after a certain amount of time,
Hmm.
but that is such a huge difference from a game that gives you the illusion of choice and a game where these people won't even talk to you anymore.
Right. I always tell the story of the vendor that's in Fallout 4. she's in my home base. What's the name of the first base that you make?
Oh, is it like Trash Can Carla or something?
It
Yeah.
is. Yes, Trash Can Carla like accidentally shot her and then just kept playing. And so I have a save, my main character that I've been playing for 10 years, and she's just pissed at me, won't trade with me
He's never.
because I never fixed the save at that point. I just kept playing, and she's walking
Yeah.
around inside my home base. It's so funny. She's like, "Oh, the would-be assassin."
That's so funny. And
Yeah.
and it's in a way it's frustrating, right? Because you can't trade with her.
Hmm.
But that is what makes a Bethesda game so amazing, is that character will never forgive you.
Right.
Like, she hates you.
I was reminded of something in The Great Circle that just kind of made me laugh and sort of cringe. But you're in an area and you get to a doorway that you can't go back. Basically, it's a portion of the level that progresses to the next box or the next storyline,
Yeah.
right? Or the next scene. So Indiana will say things like, "I should take care of my business before I do this." It's this little,
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
developer's way of hinting that, hey, listen, if you progress here, you're moving to the next scene and you're not going to be able
Yeah.
to find all the little things that you spent all the time trying to figure out where they are.
Yeah.
But it's just, I find it kind of funny because I was playing the next scene. He said that I wasn't sure what the thing was that moved it forward. I thought it was just another temple, and it actually progressed the story. And I was like, oh, mother, father figure, because I wasn't done with that section. But that would never happen in a
Yeah.
Bethesda game, right?
Generally not. No, it's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare that you get locked out of any location.
I think you can
Yeah.
actually revisit scenes in the Great Circle. So I think I'll be able to go back and finish up those treasures. But it does feel a little bit like it kind of takes you out of it a little bit because you're forced to move on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It definitely feels more restrictive. I mean, I don't know who it was at Bethesda that said this, but I keep going back to this statement. They said players want to play other games, or it's like something like, people don't want to play our games, they want to live in our worlds.
Mm,
And this was something that just kept coming back to me as I was playing Avowed, because it's this big, sort of like mostly open world. It's sort of sectioned off, but kudos to them. It's the sections are huge. They are big open worlds, but it doesn't feel like stuff like really matters. And you want to come back to this design decision that Bethesda makes in all of their games, and it seems so funny. The decision to have clutter, little items that
Mm.
you can pick up,
Hmm.
picking up stuff that does not matter at all. So it's like, in Skyrim, you've got the brooms and the cheese and whatever, and it's like, oh, you can eat the cheese and what? Gain a point of health? Like it's insanely small. It's almost pointless. And then in Starfield, you've got little knickknacks and just stuff that you can't do anything with it. But my point is that it makes the world feel very alive.
Yeah.
Okay, Hopetown. Hopetown has that building that you can go in, and then there's a garage over to the left side. As far as I know, there is absolutely no reason to go over to that garage. But I'm the type of player that goes over there and wanders around. And
Hmm.
and it's because you know what it feels like? It feels like you ever drive down the street like in real life and you see some office building and you're like, I wonder what it's like in there. Like I
Yeah.
wonder like Starfield lets me
Severance. It's like
poke my
Severance
head
inside.
in. Yeah. I Starfield lets me poke my head into all these places that normally you'd be like, "Sir, what are you doing? Why are you here?"
Mhm.
Um I don't know. I'm that weird player. Like I don't need legendary gear to be in there. I just enjoy walking around and seeing it.
I love what you said about that because for example, in Aquila City, I've spent maybe 20 hours in the city because I started doing all the quests in there. I don't feel like I know the city like the back of my hand, and I don't feel like I know every room or every character. There's still a lot to discover, and that's a testament to your garage, like just these
Yep.
spaces, these extra areas that are fleshed out. And when you talked about the objects, I thought, that could be an improvement that they could make with the planets. The cities are great. There's lots of little objects and spaceships and stuff, but out in the terrain, there's not as many loose objects that are meaningless. And that might be
That's a
kind of
good point.
cool to have rocks and whatever that you could just pick up, like little plants and stuff that have no meaning but help you to interact with the world.
That's actually, yeah, I that's really interesting. Yeah.
That might be a big ask because of the limitations of processing power and all that, but you never know.
Yeah, you absolutely never know. Again, like, oh, apologies to the developers at Avowed because it is a great game, but I'm telling you, I start to ask why. I just
Hmm.
like the world. It just feels. You know what? It's like what we were talking about, where it's okay for games to just be gamey, and like the point is just to go from point A to point B. That's totally fine. But my problem is Avowed feels like it's supposed to be more open world like Bethesda, but
Mm.
it's really not. It's really just game. It's just go to the objective.
Right.
And that's not how I feel playing any Bethesda game. Fallout, like all these games, you feel like you are moving forward just by exploring and finding stuff.
Yeah, I think that's part of the root of the criticisms of Starfield. Part of it could be the gamer type wants to experience a game that is more similar to Avowed or The Great Circle. And what they're
Yep.
getting instead is analysis paralysis, overwhelming misdirection of things that can be done and places to go and things to see. And
Yep.
so
Yep.
I can
It's
understand
too
that
much choice for some.
it's
Yeah.
too much choice, and it's also that can create a feel of boredom because you don't know what to do and there's nobody necessarily. You can't just like push forward on the controller and then kind of, oh, okay, this is a wall. Like another
Yeah.
slight criticism about Indiana Jones is, boy, it's really hot in this desert. Okay, I'm getting to the edge of the desert. I can't go this way, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna die if I can run for 100 hours within the city and not be thirsty, but if I go another 5 feet this way, I'm gonna die in the desert.
Yeah. Yeah. To your point about Aquila City, how you can explore that place a lot and still not know, you still don't know like every corner of it. Some of the criticisms that Bethesda has gone is, oh, these cities are so small. Whatever. There's lore reasons for the cities to be small, especially like if you can just travel from planet to planet to planet, you don't need a huge hub anymore. Whatever. There's lore to explain it. But
Hmm.
my point is recently, before Assassin's Creed Shadows came out, which I won't go into it, but it's
It
an
looks
incredible
amazing.
game. I
Yeah.
freaking love it so much. Before that came out, I got Assassin's Creed Mirage on for a very good discount.
Hmm.
And
Five
I was
finger.
playing it. Yeah, I just ran as long as you can run faster than the clerk. It's a very good game, but I want to talk about the city size because you can send your eagle or whatever up, and the cities in Mirage are just gigantic. Like it is a sprawling, vast city. And in a way, it is very impressive. We're talking like you just look out and it's it's like, I don't know, 1,000 times bigger than Aquila City.
Hmm.
But the thing is, like, all the buildings are pretty much the same. It's like, uh, eh, so like as I wander from this street to that street to that street, there there's nothing interesting. It's
Hmm.
not like I'm seeing, oh wow, I never noticed that there's like, whereas like Aquila City, it's very small, but I probably got hundreds of hours into the game before I realized that there was this whole right side. Like if you go off to the right, there's like a little soccer field, like a little dirt soccer field back there.
Mm.
I didn't even know it was back there. Like there's these places in there, and like I don't know, it was like hundreds of hours before I even went to the Laredo firearms store.
Hmm.
They're small cities that Bethesda makes, but it's very handcrafted. Every corner of it is different from the other spots.
Yeah. I've been playing Uncharted as well. Uncharted 4, I think it is. And there's a scene where you're in a city and it's populated by a ton of NPCs. I was struck by how lifeless and uh non-interactive all the
Yeah,
NPCs are. Kind of like they really tried
yeah,
hard to, but I was spoiled by Starfield and Bethesda games.
yeah. To your point, Rockstar also does it very well. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm sure that when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, it's going to be next level
Oh,
of
for
just
sure it is.
feeling very real. But most games can't pull that off.
Hmm. Again, some of it is player type. If you're not the right kind of player, if you need a game that's more linear, you're probably not going to enjoy Starfield like a lot of us who are just into straight up exploring and kind of being
Yeah.
submersed in this world.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like I'm I'm playing these other games. I'm really enjoying Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's
Hmm.
like to me it's the best in the series, but there's that corner of my brain that I I am often thinking about Starfield and knowing for sure that I'll be back. And and I don't know, like Assassin's Creed, it's too early to say because I'm playing it, but I feel like I'm gonna play the heck out of it,
Hmm.
maybe 100% it if I really like it, and then I feel like I'll be done.
Is it like a RPG light?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
RPG, but it's you don't make the kind of big choices that you make in a Bethesda game.
it's combat
I
focused, right?
yeah, it's combat focused, very good combat. It ticks a lot of boxes because you can also build your settlement in
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed Shadows. So that is very Bethesda like. The more characters you meet, they populate your settlement and they walk around the buildings that you've built. It's honestly the closest thing I've seen to a Bethesda like sort of experience, but only in that place that you've built. So I don't have a lot of complaints for Assassin's Creed Shadows. But like I said, I feel like I'm going to play it. I'm going to really love it. And then that I might be done. And that's the difference, because Starfield, you can always create a new character. And um, I don't know, like Starfield, I'm really grateful that they made it feel, it doesn't feel like super far in the future. It feels like just within the next 100 years. You know what I mean? It just feels so rugged and lived in and realistic that it's the closest thing Bethesda's ever given us to a game just set in our time, in our
Right.
world. It just happens to be a little bit in the future and we have space travel. But it just feels like it feels almost like now.
It's very relatable. And like we said before, it feels like timeline diverged in the 70s and they figured out warp drive somewhere 100 years after that,
Yeah.
as compared to our timeline.
Yep. So I mean, there you go. It's like when I think about Skyrim these days, I'm not thinking like, oh, I can't wait to play Skyrim again and play through that storyline. Like what I'm thinking is I can't wait to, oh, maybe I'm going to try this type of character and I'm going to really build out my house.
It's more about, not about the storyline, it's about the adventure and the living in the world.
Yep.
Is your son playing?
Absolutely.
Still? Because he started, right?
Yes. Yes. Man, he's getting pretty far. And honestly, he was trucking along and got pretty close to the end of the game, but it was pretty high level stuff. So it was really challenging. And he just finished like the Dark Brotherhood storyline. So he's going back and doing those kind of side quests. But yeah, he's been really loving it, and it's been really fun to watch, him kind of experience that. And
right.
And then on the flip side, my other son just finished Metal Gear Solid Sons of Liberty. He's been really into Metal Gear, and that's like been that was one of my favorite franchises. And he's about to start Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and I'm just like, it's been so exciting to talk about these past game experiences that I've had and now my kids are having.
It's fun to see. My son is very competitive. I remember being like that too. So he loves oddball RTSs like Supreme Commander 2. He's really into that. And then he loves Risk of Rain. He's been playing that a lot lately. Again, he played that years ago and kind of is back into it again. So that's interesting to see. But I wanted to ask you just real quick. I feel this update is coming. It's coming soon. So quickly, Michael, I want you to tell me maybe 5 things you really want out of it. 5 wishes. And then I want you to tell me like 5 realities that you're like, okay, they are definitely going to do this. If you can think of that many.
5. Okay.
So what do you got for me?
Okay. I'll try to lightning round it. Number 1, survival. I want actual, like, not just every 30 minutes you have to eat, but like what they've done with Starfield, or excuse me, what they've done with Skyrim and Fallout, where bulkier meals that you've created feed you more. So it gives you a reason to cook. So that's what I want. I want reasons to cook, reasons to have like a water purifier at your, at your space station. So I want that. I want a survival mode, eating. Give me a reason to build outposts, fuel. Oh, and then we were just talking about this in the Discord, and you and I have talked about it in the past. Give us a reason to have multiple spacesuits. I want to have a room on my ship, and that spacesuit is for hot planets. This spacesuit is for cold planets. This one is for toxic environments. And I want to like land on a planet,
quickly pick
get
one.
my reading of it. Just quickly pick one, equip, and go out of the ship.
Hallelujah.
So that is
I
what I
love that.
want. Yeah. I'm going to count everything I just said as 4 items, and then I'm going to say my 5th wish is I want to I want them to bulk up being in space. So, as an example, I want it to feel more like we're traveling in the system between from planet to planet, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to hook up a tube and spacewalk. I want to go outside of my ship
Yes,
because I think that will be terrifying and exciting.
I totally agree. That would be very cool. People have modded that, and
Yep,
it does
they
cause
have.
some weird things to happen. But yeah, I'd love to see it as an official update. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the reality. Let's see, five
Yes.
things that are the reality. We're gonna get 2 new weapons.
Okay.
We're gonna get some palette swaps of existing suits, so like some new colors, and they're gonna be
Mm.
200 creation credits each. I'm being
Mhm.
really mean now. Oh man, we're never gonna get that interview. In reality, I do think we'll get another. I think we'll get another city like Dazra.
Ooh, okay. I don't think we'll get another
Hmm.
city, but I do think we'll get the Demos vehicle.
Wait, no, no, no. We have the Demos vehicle, the
Oh
Demog.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, not the Demog.
Oh no,
I
but
think
you're
we'll get
talking about
the.
there was a Dazra. That's right.
There's the
There was
third
a
silhouette, wasn't there? Or no?
yes. It was a Varoon. Yes, there was a
Hmm.
Varoon vehicle that we didn't get. So yeah, that's what it is.
Man, I haven't even driven the
That's
Diamog yet. I
true.
forgot about that.
It's good. It's like
Yeah.
better in every way.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll have to pick that up.
Yeah, I think another realistic thing is probably not an overhaul of POIs, but they might adjust how POIs, there's been a lot of complaints.
Hmm.
I think it'd be awesome if you visit a POI, then that means it's not going to show up again for like 50 POIs, like 50 appearances.
Right. All those things sound doable and they sound like they would improve the game. You know, the major difference between the Fallout 76 that they released and the one that they have now is probably night and day, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
made a bunch of big changes. Are we going to see something drastic like that? And I don't know that anything you really said is like a drastic gameplay mechanic or change. And I'm kind of expecting something along those
Yeah.
lines.
I don't see anything necessarily drastic because
I'll pitch you one.
yeah, yeah.
I think they're going to up the ante on violence and rated R content. We've already talked
Well, I
about.
think we've seen a little bit of that and I think you're right.
Have we? In what way?
Well, I've seen some pretty grim looking stuff in Dazra in some of the outskirts.
Yeah.
There's been some pretty bloody scenes, and in addition to that, the very well done $5 expansion that you can get called Escape
Hmm.
was
A lot of blood.
very R-rated in
Hmm.
language too. They added
Mm.
like characters were swearing a lot and a lot of blood and a lot of violence and just like a pretty grim setting.
Yeah.
But I think you're right that it will continue.
I feel like they need to get back to their core audience, back to the basics of a more gritty, a more dangerous, a more edgy product. And whether for me, like if you were to ask my top 5 wish, all 5 would probably be a melee improvement of some kind.
Oh, I would love that so much. I don't know. Is it weird that I'm sort of like giving up on it? I'm sort of giving up on it, but
Hmm.
I hope not.
I don't want to give up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played earlier today and it's satisfying to punch someone and knock them down. It's kind of crazy. It's a very Bethesda unrealistic thing. You're in a spacesuit and you're punching like a phantom, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's still satisfying, and I think there could be so much more. You talked about 2 new weapons, and we had a podcast probably 15 episodes ago that talked about all the cool stuff that they potentially could do with weapons, like plasma and blobs and these futuristic kind of things that they just didn't do. So yeah, I hope they do bring some new weapons that are really outside the box.
Yep, absolutely. Well, in any case, I'm excited to see what is coming. There was that rumor that the next DLC might be called the Starborn. So it could be an expansion on that type of thing. So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, one more big wish that I want is more space stuff. Like we talked about black holes in the past. We talk about
that's right.
Just cool things that you can find out in space.
Meteors, comets, shooting stars.
Nebulas, and who knows what. Like just other space phenomenon that you can run into to kind of flesh
100%.
out the actual space portion.
Yep, absolutely.
Michael, our last episode, we talked about, is Starfield a cozy game? I think both you and I agree that it is. It can be. It's not necessarily designed as one, but definitely for a lot of us, it is our cozy game. And we had some great comments. Do you want to read a couple of them real quick?
Yeah, it was great to see this feedback because we got a lot of yes, it is, and no, it's not. But we've got Danger Fox, who said that they said, I do consider it a cozy game. I literally get cozy in a blanket with my headset and explore planets. I also find new creations every time I log in. It's literally a game I can play forever. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Which I'm glad that Danger Fox said that because we just talked about how we can keep coming back to these games forever. And we didn't even bring up the fact that the Creation Kit, of course, has a constant drip feed of new things.
I want to read Cindy Kumek's comment. She says, I absolutely think Starfield is a comfort/cozy game. It is the game I go to when I just want to hang out. Sometimes I want to pew-pew. Sometimes I want a space dogfight. Sometimes I want to explore in that crazy dune buggy. Sometimes I want to build a ship or an outpost or run around a new town. Sometimes I want to be the good guy. Sometimes I want to shoot up stuff. It just feels like home. I'm so glad you guys do this podcast. Thank you. Well, thank you, Cindy.
Absolutely. I mean, that encompasses my thoughts as well. White Mojo Wolf said it's absolutely a cozy game. C. Ken P. said Starfield is absolutely my comfort game. So, I mean, we're finding a lot of kinship here.
Yeah.
Well, Genghis Bobber did say that they feel like it's a cozy game after 2,300 hours, depending on what
that's a lot of hours.
Because sure, that's a good point. And I think we made that point as well in that when you first play the game, no, it's not a cozy game. You're doing missions and things are getting crazy. But then Willia451 said that the first 10 minutes of Shattered Space proves Starfield is not a cozy game. And there was nothing that could have prepared me for what I encountered on Varun Kai.
Yes.
So, sure, that's a good point. They continue, Dazzler blown to bits, over half the population dead or missing, horrors redeemed, phantoms roaming the landscape at will, and an ethereal madman trying to start another galactic war. All against the backdrop of cult speak gone horribly wrong. Incredible, chilling, shocking, disturbing. These would be some of the words I would use, but not cozy. You know what? I can't argue with that. So there you go. It is and it is not.
In that same podcast, we were talking about how statistically flying on a plane is super duper safe. Nothing ever goes wrong.
That's
and
right.
The Whiz Bang chimed in and said, all this talk about planes being safe has aged poorly since 2025 began. Right?
Yeah. Really? We said that, and then the planes just started crashing left and right. That's
just dropping out of the sky. It's time to watch Lost again. Let's do a Lost marathon.
Right. That's right. Let's do a Lost podcast.
Yes, let's do it. I'm in. I will totally do a Lost podcast. The last one I wanted to read was just a compliment from MemColo JI858. who says, one of the realest content I've come across online for so long. Feels like I'm hanging out with the guys. On second thought, it's not just the content at all. It's you guys keeping it normal. Yeah.
We do want to keep it normal, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, thank you very much for listening. And we do have a Patreon that sort of keeps the wheels turning. And we want to say a very special thank you to all of our Patreon members. And I'm going to read them all off real quickly. We've got Josh, Baxter, the dog, Shellshock, Kai the deer guy, the Great Serpent, Sasha, Silent Crisis, Bergenstock, Pete, Daniel Griffith, Afro Bird, Dingo Dan, the Dragon Reborn, Darren Flores, Mel Archivals, Malcolm, Jorah's Grayscale, Lycos, Peter, Kittlehara, Agravar, Gilly, Hicks, Illness, Todd, Shantz, Shenanigan, Lucas, Cherry Bomb RN, Ben, Olivier, and Zigra Rocks. Thank you so much for your support, and pop into the Discord because we will chat with you.
Mm-hmm. And thanks to everyone that listens on Spotify, Apple, and thanks to those watching on YouTube. All links are provided in the show notes below.
Extra special thanks for comments and feedback. If you have a comment, suggestion, or an in-game story to share, leave that comment and we might read it in the future.
Mm-hmm. If you like the show, consider dropping a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That would really help us out.
Thank you for traveling the Starfield with us. Make sure you subscribe because we will be back for more.
See ya.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.